People don't break families in one day. They do it one quiet decision at a time. 19 days after my daughter said she had no father, she lost a $1.8 million deal. Her husband lost control of everything he thought. He was smarter then. And I learned something painful at 67 years old. Sometimes the people who are most ashamed of where they came from forget who carried them there. I was standing 3 feet behind my daughter in Chicago holding an $18.75 cherry pie when she smiled at a group of wealthy strangers and said, "I didn't really have a father." She didn't know I heard her. She definitely didn't know what I knew. Before we get into this, tell me down below, where are you watching from? And what time is it where you are right now? I always love seeing where these stories travel. And if you enjoy real raw family stories like this, stick around and subscribe. Stay with me here, because before I tell you what happened, 19 days later, I need you to understand who my daughter thought I was. My name is Quill Kelly. I'm 67 years old, widowed, living alone on the west side of Madison, Wisconsin, in a quiet neighborhood where people still wave when they drive past, and where retired men like me somehow end up discussing lawn fertilizer, like we're negotiating international peace treaties. I drive a silver 2012 Subaru Outback with 184,000 miles on it. The driver's seat heater stopped working 3 winters ago. I kept meaning to fix it. Never did. You get older, and strange things happen. Problems that would have annoyed you at 40 become roommates at 67. My wife Helen used to say that. Quill, she'd tell me half of marriage is learning which problems get promoted from enemies to roommates. Helen had a way of saying smart things while stirring soup. She'd been gone 6 years. Pancreatic cancer. Fast, cruel, efficient. Like somebody walking into your house and quietly taking half the walls while you weren't looking. You don't recover from losing someone like that. People confuse those two things. Every morning, I followed almost the exact same routine. Wake up at 5:45. Stand in the kitchen, staring at the coffee maker like it personally offended me. Make coffee, black, no sugar, no cream. Walk outside if Wisconsin weather wasn't trying to actively murder everybody. Drive over to Mickey's Dairy Bar on Monroe Street around 7. Order coffee, sometimes eggs, sometimes pancakes. Always too much bacon. My friend Frank Delaney would usually show up 10 minutes later. Frank was 70, former electrician. Built like an old refrigerator that somehow learned sarcasm. Frank believed every problem in life could be solved through either patience duct tape or meatloaf. Sometimes all 3. "You look terrible," Frank said one Tuesday morning while sliding into the booth. "You said that last week." "Still true." Appreciate your consistency. Appreciate your decline. That's friendship after 60. You stop pretending. Frank lost his wife 3 years before I lost Helen. Some grief teaches people softness. Some grief teaches humor. We got both. "How's Avery?" Frank asked. That question. Always that question. "My daughter's busy." Busy or owing? Those aren't mutually exclusive. Frank took a sip of coffee, gave me that look. You know that look. The one old friends earn after enough years. The look that says, "Don't lie to me." Avery Kelly Mercer, 39 years old, real estate, Chicago, sharp, beautiful, driven. My daughter could walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with business cards, dinner invitations, and somebody offering her an opportunity. She got that from Helen. She got stubbornness from me. God help her. When Avery was 9, she built a solar system model for school that nearly burned down our garage. When she was 15, she begged me to teach her how to drive. Bad idea. Absolute disaster. She hit our mailbox. Twice. The exact same mailbox. "I don't understand how that happened," she'd said. "Statistically, impossible," I told her. By 17, she'd become captain of her softball team. By 23, she moved to Chicago. By 27, she was selling luxury condos. By 35, she knew people with lake houses that had lake houses. Life moved. That's normal. Distance happens. That's normal too. What wasn't normal was what happened after Ryan Mercer showed up. But we'll get there. Stay with me here, because before Chicago, before charity galas and expensive lies, you need to understand something important about me. People saw an older widower, Wyatt. Flannel shirts, Subaru, hardware store loyalty card. A man who still printed directions sometimes. Fine, let them. My entire career depended on people underestimating me. For 31 years, I worked as a forensic document examiner for an insurance fraud investigations division. Not police, not FBI, nothing glamorous, no dramatic music, no detectives kicking doors open. Mostly paperwork, thousands of pages, signatures, financial records, timestamps, metadata, ink patterns. Human behavior. You'd be surprised what desperate people miss. One woman forged disability documents and forgot she'd uploaded photographs from a ski trip the same week. One contractor altered invoices but accidentally changed font styles halfway through. One man faked his wife's signature 32 separate times. 32. People get greedy. Greedy people get lazy. Lazy people leave fingerprints. Not literal fingerprints. Life fingerprints, patterns, mistakes. I spent 31 years getting paid to notice details people hoped I wouldn't notice. Helen used to joke that living with me was impossible. "You notice everything," she'd say. "Not everything. Quill. Fine, most things. You noticed I changed shampoo. It smelled different. You noticed when I reorganized cabinets. Forks moved. You noticed when Avery lied about finishing homework. She blinked differently. Helen laughed so hard once she nearly spilled coffee across our kitchen table. That laugh. Funny thing about grief, you stop hearing someone's voice. Then one random Tuesday, in a grocery store parking lot 6 years later, boom, you hear it perfectly. Like they stepped into the room. Frank interrupted my thoughts. "You drifting again?" "No." "Liar." "I'm thinking." "Dangerous hobby." I smiled. Frank leaned down. "You hear from Avery Lately. Texted Sunday. What did she say? Busy week. That's it. That's it. He nodded slowly. No judgment. Frank wasn't built that way. Parents make excuses, especially fathers with daughters. I told myself Avery was building her career, building her life, building her future. Chicago was busy. Success required sacrifice. People grow apart. Normal. 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 Funny how we use that word when we're trying not to admit something hurts. Then small things started happening. Little things. Easy to ignore. Harder to forget. Avery stopped calling me Dad when other people were around. Started saying, Quill. At first, I thought I imagined it. Then I noticed patterns. Phone calls, shorter. Visits rarer. Conversations rushed. One Christmas, she bought me a $12 gas station gift card. Not because of money, because she forgot. You know what hurts, not being hated. Being downgraded, quietly, gradually, like somebody lowering your importance 1 inch at a time. I kept making excuses. Parents do that. Then one October afternoon, Frank said something sitting in my driveway, drinking bad coffee from paper cups. You know, he said carefully, sometimes people get embarrassed by where they came from. Avery's not embarrassed. Frank looked out the windshield. Hope you're right. I hoped so too. God, I hoped so. Because the first time Avery acted embarrassed by me, she smiled while doing it. The first time I met Ryan Mercer, he shook my hand like he was closing a deal. Firm grip. 2 pumps, direct eye contact. Expensive watch. Smile, calibrated somewhere between confidence and sales training. It was late April. Madison still hadn't fully committed to spring yet. Wisconsin likes to keep people humble that way. Helen was still alive back then. Tired more often. Quiet more often. But still Helen. Still making coffee too strong and pretending she didn't notice when Avery and Ryan showed up 22 minutes late for dinner. 22, not 20, not 25, 22. Old habits. Notice things long enough and your brain stops asking permission. Ryan walked into our house carrying a bottle of wine. Cabernet. Overpriced. Probably recommended by somebody wearing suspenders and talking about notes of oak. Mr. Kelly, Ryan said. Quill's fine. Quill. Smile, nodding. Controlled confidence. Avery talks about you all the time. That turned out not to be true. I didn't know that yet. Helen came out from the kitchen. Ryan switched immediately. Charm, up 20%. Voice softer. Body language open. I'd spent 31 years studying fraud behavior. Not because everybody lies, because patterns matter. Ryan wasn't lying. Not exactly. He was performing. There's a difference. People who perform too much eventually forget who they're performing for. We sat down for dinner. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, Helen's homemade rolls. Ryan took one bite. Oh, wow. Helen smiled. You like it? This tastes exactly like my grandmother used to make. No hesitation, perfect timing, perfect warmth. Helen practically adopted him on the spot. Frank used to say, charm is like cologne. Use enough to smell nice. Too much, and people start opening windows. Ryan used too much. Not immediately. Small things, easy to miss, harder to ignore. What do you do again? Ryan asked me halfway through dinner. Retired now. What did you do before? Insurance investigations. Oh, that was it. Oh, you know that tone. Not disrespect exactly. Worse, dismissal. Like he'd mentally placed me inside a file folder labeled older people things. Sounds interesting, he said politely. It was. What kind of investigations? Fraud, mostly. Ryan nodded. Polite smile. Moved on immediately. Bad poker players bluff too hard. Smart, arrogant people underestimate too early. Helen changed the subject. Avery laughed. Dinner? Moved forward. Then Ryan asked the question. The question. So what are your long-term plans with this place? This place, meaning our lake house. Helen's lake house, technically ours, but really Helen's. Small property near Lake Wisconsin. Nothing extravagant. 3 bedrooms, old dock, wood floors that creaked. Kitchen cabinets older than Avery. Helen loved that place. We'd spent summers there. Birthdays, 4th of July weekends, snowstorms, augments. Yeah. Ryan leaned back casually, fork resting against his plate. What do you mean? Helen asked. I mean, eventually. Smile. Relaxed voice. Property values are going crazy. You could probably get 700 easy. Easy. People selling things they don't own always say easy. We're not selling, Helen said. Of course. Ryan smiled immediately. Too fast. Just talking. I noticed Avery. Tiny thing, almost invisible. She looked at Ryan before answering. Just once, half a second, maybe less. But she looked. Pay attention to this next part. People don't usually change suddenly. They change quietly. In tiny permissions, tiny compromises, tiny moments where somebody else's opinion starts renting space inside their head. Ryan kept visiting. Weekends, birthdays, holidays, always polished, always moving, always talking. Market trends, investment opportunities, scaling assets, liquidity, leverage. At Thanksgiving, he spent 17 straight minutes explaining cryptocurrency to Frank. Frank listened patiently, nodded, drank coffee, waited. Finally said, So, fake money. Ryan blinked. No. Sounds fake. It's more complicated than... Frank took another sip. If I can't buy a fishing pole with it, sounds fake. Helen laughed so hard she nearly dropped cranberry sauce. Ryan smiled, but tight, very tight. He didn't like feeling foolish. Interesting detail. People reveal themselves faster through embarrassment than success. Avery got engaged 8 months later. Winter. Chicago, navy blue coat, ring big enough to have its own zip code. Helen cried. Don't judge me. Daughters do that to fathers. Wedding happened 18 months later. Beautiful ceremony. Chicago, old church, cold October morning. Avery looked happy. Ryan looked victorious. There's a difference. Helen passed away 2 years after that. Cancer doesn't care about timing or kindness or unfinished conversations. After the funeral, people filled my refrigerator with casseroles. Americans do that. Some cultures bring flowers. Midwestern people bring enough baked pasta to survive economic collapse. Ryan stepped up afterward, called more, visited, helped organize paperwork, insurance documents, bank accounts, estate records, normal, reasonable, helpful. At least that's what I told myself. "You holding up okay?" Ryan asked once, while helping sort files. "I'm here. Anything financial gets overwhelming, let me know." "Appreciate that." "No problem." Smile. Warm voice. "Family helps family." Family helps family. Funny sentence. Sometimes true. Sometimes camouflage. Months passed. Then years. Avery moved further into Chicago, luxury real estate. Higher-end clients. Private networking events. Country club conversations. Designer handbags. Lakeshore Drive condos. People with names attached to buildings. She worked hard. Very hard. I respected that. Still do. But slowly, small things. Christmas gifts became generic. Phone calls shorter, scheduled tighter. Life became efficiency. Then came something small. Tiny. So small, normal people would have missed it. Noticed it during brunch. Chicago. Sunday. Little place near Lincoln Park. Ryan talking. Avery talking. Client stories. Market stories. Busy lives. Busy people. Then the waitress came. Friendly. College age. Making conversation. "So how do you guys know each other?" she asked. "My husband, Ryan," Avery said. She pointed, then pointed toward me. "And this is Quill. Quill. Not Dad, not my father. Quill. Like I worked accounting 3 floors down." I told myself not to overthink it. People shorten things. Language changes. Life changes. Fine. Fine. But then it happened again, and again, and again. Patterns. Remember, patterns matter. A month later, Ryan invited me golfing. Big mistake. Not because I golf well. I absolutely don't. But because people talk differently. When they think they're winning. Ryan talked a lot. Business, growth, assets, future planning. Then somewhere around hole 11, he asked. Casual voice. Too casual. "So what's the setup with the lake house ownership?" There it was. Second time. Same topic. Different year. Same curiosity. I answered carefully. Helen and I handled estate planning years ago. Smart. She liked planning. Ryan nodded slowly. Trust setup? Interesting. Very interesting. Not many people casually ask trust structure details, unless they're thinking about them. Hard. I smiled. Something like that. Ryan smiled too, friendly, easy, relaxed. But something old inside me, something trained over decades, quietly sat up. The way it always did. The same feeling I had gotten looking at altered signatures. Fake invoices. People trying too hard. Nothing concrete, nothing dramatic, just instinct. The dangerous thing about instinct, sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it saves you. And sitting there watching Ryan Mercer line up a putt he absolutely missed, I started wondering which one this would be. 2 weeks after that golf game, Avery called me on a Thursday afternoon. I remember because I was standing inside Home Depot, comparing two nearly identical boxes of wood screws, like my future depended on making the correct decision. You get older, and suddenly hardware stores become recreational activities. Don't ask me why. I couldn't explain it. Hey, Dad. Dad, not Quill. Dad. Funny how one word can still make your day. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, everything's fine. Pause. Well, small. Barely there. But there. I wanted to ask you something. There it was. Questions before favors. Human beings follow patterns. I got invited to something in Chicago, she said. Work thing, kind of. Kind of means yes. She laughed. For a second, she sounded 21 again. God, I missed that laugh. Ryan and I are going to a charity gala. Look at you. It's networking mostly. Free food. Dad? Important question. She sighed. I was wondering if maybe you'd come. That surprised me. Enough that I picked up deck screws instead of drywall anchors. Didn't notice for almost 30 seconds. Me? Yeah. Chicago-ky. Yes. You sure? Dad, there was that word again. Warmer this time. You should come. What's the fundraiser? Youth education programs. When? October 18th. Friday, 6:30, downtown Chicago. Formal. I said yes. Of course I said yes. Parents. We keep showing up. Even after disappointment. Even after distance. We keep showing up. Frank was at my house later that evening helping me replace a light fixture. Helping meaning standing nearby criticizing my ladder positioning. Chicago Charity Gala, he said. Yep. You own anything fancy? I own pants. Not what I asked. I've got my navy blazer. The one from Helen's cousin's wedding. Still fits. Barely. Frank. Just trying to protect the public. I threw a screwdriver at him. Missed intentionally. Mostly intentionally. You think this means things are getting better? I asked. Frank got quiet. That happens sometimes. Usually right before he said something annoyingly wise. I think people circle back eventually. Yeah. Question is whether they come back because they love you. Or because they need something. I didn't answer. Didn't want to. October 18th came cold. Chicago cold. Wind off Lake Michigan that somehow ignores jackets and negotiates directly with your bones. I left Madison around 11:30. 3-hour drive. Traffic worse near Rockford. Construction because apparently Illinois believes roads are temporary concepts. I stopped outside Beloit for coffee. Black, no sugar, no cream, habit. Reached downtown Chicago around 3:15. Checked into the hotel Avery recommended. Nice place. Too nice. Valet parking, marble floors. People carrying tiny dogs wearing clothing worth more than my first car. You know that feeling? When you walk somewhere expensive and suddenly become deeply aware of your shoes. That, my room overlooked the river. Gray sky. Cold water. Chicago. Doing Chicago things. I showered. Shaved carefully. Put on my navy blazer. White button-down. Gray slacks. Brown shoes Helen bought me 7 years earlier. Still good. Helen believed in buying quality. Cheap costs. Why, she'd say. I checked myself in the mirror. 67. Gray hair, lines around my eyes. A little softer around the middle than 30 years ago. Life leaves fingerprints. On paper, on faces, on people. I grabbed the cherry pie around 5:30. There's a bakery Avery loved when she lived in Madison. Bloom Bake Shop. Cherry pie. Always her favorite. Birthdays. Celebrations. Bad breakups. Cherry pie fixed many things once. Or at least made broken things quieter. The pie cost $18.75. I remember because later, well, you'll see. The gala was inside a historic building downtown. Big ballroom. Glass chandeliers. Dark suits, designer dresses. People smiling professional smiles. Networking smiles. Business smiles. The kind where nobody says exactly what they're thinking. I checked my coat. Walked slowly, looking, searching. Found Avery near the far side of the ballroom. Blue dress, elegant, beautiful. Helen's eyes, my stubborn chin. Talking with 3 people. Ryan beside her. Dark suit, silver watch. Perfect posture, perfect smile. Always performing. There were maybe 20 feet between us. I started walking over. Cherry pie box under my arm. Felt stupid suddenly. Too personal. Too small. Everybody else brought donations. Connections. Business cards. I brought pie. Classic Quill Kelly. But Avery liked pie. Used to. Ryan saw me first. Important detail. Pay attention to this next part. Ryan saw me, absolutely saw me. Eye contact, clear, direct recognition. For maybe 1 second, something crossed his face. Not surprise, not happiness. Calculation. Then he smiled, tiny, controlled, and turned back toward the conversation. Didn't wave. Didn't signal Avery. Didn't say, "Hey, your dad's here." Nothing. Weird. My pace slowed. Maybe he forgot. Maybe timing. Maybe. Then I heard Avery talking. Laughing lightly. Professional voice, networking voice, different from regular voice. People have versions of themselves. Work version, family version, public version, private version. I was maybe 6 feet away. Not hidden, not sneaking, just walking. One of the women smiled at Avery. Elegant, older woman. White blazer. Expensive confidence. The woman said, "So tell me about yourself." Easy question. Simple, normal. Avery smiled. I grew up in Wisconsin. Oh, small town life. You don't sound small town. Light laughter, Ryan smiling, watching. Avery kept talking. My mom raised me mostly than on her own. Something inside me shifted. Tiny, uncomfortable. Like stepping wrong on stairs. The older woman nodded. That must have been hard. Avery smiled. Polite, controlled, professional. I didn't really have a father. Silence. Not ballroom silence. Personal silence. The kind that happens when your brain hears something before your heart catches up. 3 feet. That's how far away I stood. 3 feet. Holding $18.75 cherry pie. Winded. Not physically. Something else. Something deeper. Nobody noticed me immediately. Ryan did. Of course Ryan did. His eyes moved. Found mine. Held. And for 1 second, one horrible second, I knew. He knew. He knew I heard it. And he said nothing. Didn't stop her. Didn't fix it. Didn't warn her. The older woman touched Avery's arm gently. That must have been difficult. Avery nodded. Small smile, professional sadness, curated pain, marketable struggle, something people admired, something cleaner than truth. I need you to understand something. My daughter wasn't lying completely. Not technically. I worked long hours when she was younger. Missed games, missed moments, missed things I wish I'd never missed. I wasn't perfect. God knows I wasn't. But no father, no. No, no. Ryan finally spoke. Quill. Too late. Way too late. Avery turned, saw me. Everything changed. Color drained. Smile gone. Eyes widening. Pie box in my hand. Cherry pie. $18.75. You know that look. The exact moment someone realizes time won't go backward. Dad, I nodded once. Slow, controlled, calm. Calmer than I felt. Far calmer. Hey, sweetheart. How long? Long enough. Ryan moved. Small step forward. Coward movement. Defensive movement. I'm sorry, Avery said quietly. People nearby pretending not to listen. Listening. Always. Listening. It's okay, I said. No anger. No scene. No shouting. No speech. Pain doesn't always need witnesses. I held the pie out. Brought your favorite. She looked like someone hit her. Good. No, not good. Fair. Different thing. Very different thing. Dad, you look nice tonight. Silence. Ryan finally opened his mouth. Mistake. Quill, maybe. No. Quiet. Simple. No. I handed Avery the pie. Turned. Walked away. Out past glass doors. Out into cold Chicago air. Wind hitting my face, hard. Breathing. Slow, controlled. My hands shaking. Not rage. Not exactly. Something worse. Disappointment. People survive anger. Disappointment stays longer. I drove back toward Madison that night. 3 hours. Dark highway. October cold. No radio. No podcast. No noise. Somewhere near Janesville, I made myself one promise. I would not punish my daughter for hurting me. But I would not let myself ignore what I had just seen. Because instincts exist for reasons. And for the first time, I started wondering if Ryan Mercer had been playing a much longer game than I realized. I got back to Madison a little after 1:30 in the morning. The house felt colder than usual. Not temperature, something else. You live alone long enough, and you learn houses absorb emotion. Good days sound different. Bad days sit heavier. I put my keys in the ceramic bowl Helen bought in Door County 14 years earlier. Missed. Keys hit the counter. Fell, metal against hardwood. Sharp sound. Too loud. Everything felt too loud. I stood in my kitchen for maybe 5 minutes without moving. Still wearing my blazer. Still thinking about Avery's face. Shock. Guilt. Fear. Not embarrassment. Important distinction. Embarrassment worries about being caught. Guilt worries about hurting someone. I wasn't sure which one I'd seen. That bothered me. A lot. I poured coffee. Terrible idea. 1:40 in the morning. Black. No sugar, no cream. Some bad decisions become traditions and when you get old. I sat down at the kitchen table. Helen's chair across from me. Still Helen's chair. People told me 6 years ago I'd eventually move things around. Start fresh, make changes. I didn't. Some grief becomes furniture. Then I remembered something. Not big. Small. Ryan asking about the lake house. Twice. Golf course. Dinner years ago. Questions about trust structures, ownership, estate planning, asset transfers. Questions that by themselves meant nothing. Questions together. Different story. I hate instinct. People think instinct feels dramatic. It doesn't. Real instinct feels annoying, persistent. Like a smoke detector battery chirping at 3 in the morning. You want it wrong. Because wrong is easier. I looked toward the hallway. Helen's office sat at the far end. Small room, white shelves, old printer, file cabinet. Desk facing the window. Mostly untouched. Not because I worshipped memory, because every time I tried cleaning it, I stopped. Funny thing about losing somebody. You become protective of ordinary things. Coffee mugs, sticky notes, reading glasses, half-used pens, evidence they existed. I walked down the hallway, opened the office. Dark, quiet, moonlight through the blinds. I flipped the light switch. Same room, same smell, paper, books. Helen's lavender hand, lotion somehow surviving 6 years. Life is strange. I sat at the desk. Top drawer, bills, insurance papers, old birthday cards. Second drawer, medical records, tax folders, trust documents. There. Blue file folder, estate planning. I stared at it. Not because I was afraid. Because opening some things feels like reopening people. Stay with me here. This matters. Helen believed in planning. Not because she worried. Because she hated leaving messes. If I die first, she'd said years earlier while organizing paperwork one Saturday morning, I refuse to haunt you because you lost account passwords. Very considerate. I'll haunt you for other reasons. Comforting. You're welcome. God, I missed her. I opened the folder. Trust paperwork, insurance information, property documents, lake house paperwork. Everything exactly where Helen would have left it. Organized, labeled, clean. Ryan would have hated how organized she was. Greedy people prefer confusion. Confusion creates opportunity. I checked ownership structures, read slowly, carefully, trust language, property protections, beneficiary details, standard, expected. Then something caught my attention. Small amendment. 3 years before Helen died. I remembered the meeting immediately. Attorney office, downtown Madison, Patricia Whitmore. Helen's attorney, friend too, 61 now, sharp enough to cut steel. Helen wanted additional protections. If something ever feels wrong, Helen had said afterward, I don't want pressure destroying things. Pressure. Interesting word. I kept reading. Protection clauses. Transfer limitations. Verification requirements. Multiple authorization structures. Helen. Always thinking. Always planning. Then I found something else. Power of attorney paperwork. Recent copy. Not original. Recent. My stomach tightened. Slow. Heavy. The document looked normal. Maybe. Mostly. But after 31 years doing what I did, mostly, isn't comforting. I leaned closer. Read again. Signature. Helen's signature authorization copy attached. Fine. Date formatting. Fine. Notary information. Fine. Then font inconsistency. Tiny. Ridiculously tiny. One section used Calibri. Another looked like Arial. Most people wouldn't notice. I noticed. 31 years. Brain training doesn't retire. Pay attention to this next part, because this matters. Fraud rarely starts big. Fraud starts lazy. Someone edits one section, copies another, moves things, forgets consistency. Human beings hate details. Details expose people. I checked timestamps, creation dates, revision history, print marks. Nothing definitive, not yet, but enough. Enough to bother me, enough to wake something old inside me. The investigator. Frank called around 9:30 the next morning. You sound terrible. Good morning to you too. You sick? No. You lying? Possibly. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already driving. Frank operated under 2 settings. Helpful. Aggressively helpful. He arrived 40 minutes later, carrying casserole. Of course, casserole. Midwestern men don't discuss feelings directly. We transport emotions through baked food. You look awful, Frank said, walking inside. People keep saying that, because it remains true. He put the casserole down, looked at me, really looked. What happened? I told him. Everything. Chicago, Avery, Ryan, the father comment, cherry pie, silence. Frank sat quietly, which worried me. Frank quiet usually meant Frank angry. Finally, you okay? He asked. No? Good. I blinked. Good. means you're honest. I don't need wisdom right now. Good thing. I don't have any. We sat in silence. Kitchen sunlight, coffee cups, casserole cooling. Life continuing rudely. I found paperwork, I said. What kind? Not sure yet. You think Ryan's stealing? No. Too fast, Frank noticed. Of course. You think Ryan's stealing? He said. I think something feels wrong. Quill. I know. No, you don't. I know. Frank leaned back. You spent 30 years catching liars. People change. Patterns don't. That landed harder than I wanted. People change. Patterns don't. Exactly. I went back to the paperwork after Frank left. Slowly. Methodically. Old habits. Legal pad. Notes. Dates. Timelines. Cross-reference. Nothing emotional. Just facts. Facts don't care about feelings. 3 hours later, I found it. Not proof. Not yet. Something smaller. More dangerous. A document Ryan emailed me 8 months earlier. Lake property discussion. Casual. Helpful. Thinking ahead. His words. I pulled up the digital file. Opened metadata. Simple check. Routine. Creation history. Modification history. Software logs. Then I saw it. One tiny thing. One stupid thing. One unbelievably arrogant thing. My pulse changed immediately. Not panic. Recognition. The kind investigators know. The kind hunters know. The kind old men who've spent decades staring at lies know. Ryan Mercer, whether intentionally or accidentally, had left fingerprints. Not literal fingerprints. Life fingerprints. Digital fingerprints. Human fingerprints. Greed fingerprints. And suddenly, for the first time since Chicago, I wasn't thinking about what Avery said. I was thinking about why Ryan wanted that lake house so badly. People imagine uncovering lies feels exciting. It doesn't. Real discovery feels quiet, almost disappointing, like expecting thunder and hearing a clock tick instead. I sat in Helen's office, staring at my computer screen for almost 10 full minutes. Didn't move. Didn't blink much. Just stared. The file Ryan sent me 8 months earlier sat open beside 3 other documents. Lake property discussion. Ownership review. Future planning. Harmless names. Professional names. Safe names. People hiding things love safe names. I clicked deeper into metadata. Modification history. Document properties. Embedded information. Not because I thought Ryan was some criminal mastermind. Because habits don't disappear. 31 years of investigations rewired my brain. People retired from accounting still balance restaurant receipts. Former teachers still correct grammar silently. I noticed fraud patterns. Couldn't help it. Creation date. Fine. Document owner settings. Fine. Software history. Then there. Tiny, stupid, arrogant. Modified by our Mercer. _ final transfer. _ V3. I leaned back slowly. Transfer. Interesting word. Not review, not planning. Transfer. Version 3. Version 3 meant earlier versions existed. Version 3 meant changes, adjustments, editing, human fingerprints. People tell on themselves when they get comfortable. I opened another document. Compared formatting, margins, spacing, timestamps. The lake property paperwork Ryan sent months ago had revision history inconsistent with normal transfer preparation. Not proof, still not proof, but enough to make old instincts start pacing. I grabbed my yellow legal pad. Helen used legal pads. I kept buying the same brand, yellow. College-ruled, cheap, reliable, life advice hidden inside office supplies. I wrote, "Why does Ryan care so much about the lake house?" Then underneath asked during dinner years ago, asked golfing, asked estate structure, asked ownership setup, sent transfer prep documents, multiple revisions. I stared at the list. 5 observations, not evidence, patterns, important difference. You know what ruins investigations? Ego. People decide conclusions first, evidence second. I learned years ago, never marry your theory. Date it, question it, challenge it. Because sometimes instinct lies. Thursday afternoon, my phone rang. Avery. I looked at the screen, waited. 3 rings. 4. 5. Answered. Hey, sweetheart. Dad? Her voice sounded tired. Tight. I wanted to call. Okay. I'm sorry. Simple. Direct. Good start, but about Chicago. Okay. I shouldn't have said that. No, silence. Breathing. Distance. I wasn't thinking. People will say that. Usually means I was thinking. Just not about you. Okay, I said. You aren't saying much. Not sure what to say. Ryan feels awful, too. There's interesting. Not Ryan told me to apologize. Not Ryan feels terrible. Ryan feels awful, too. Team language, shared language, merged language, small detail, stored away. I never meant. Avery stopped. Started again. I don't know why I said it. I knew image, status, social pressure, performance. People rewrite a history when they feel ashamed of it. Dad? Yeah. You there? I'm here. Always. That's the problem with fathers sometimes. We're always there, even when people stop noticing. I love you, she said quietly. My throat tightened. Dangerous thing. Love. People can love you and hurt you. Both things exist together. I love you too. Always true. Still true. Call ended. I sat quietly, looking out Helen's office window. Rain starting outside. Gray Wisconsin sky. Frank called 20 minutes later. You talked to Avery. How do you know? I know things. You don't. I absolutely do. I smiled despite myself. What happened? She apologized. Feel better? No. Good. Frank. What? Stop saying good. Stop needing honesty. I leaned back, told him everything, the metadata, the transfer wording, my concerns, silence. Then You calling Patricia? I rubbed my forehead. No. Why? No proof. Call Patricia. No. Call Patricia. Frank. Quill. There are certain voices old friends earn. That was one. I called Patricia Whitmore Friday morning. Helen's attorney. Friend. Sharp enough to intimidate accountants. Quill Kelly, she said. Patricia. Well, this is either wonderful or terrible. Middle. Worst category. Probably. Come by at 2. No questions. Questions at 2. Downtown Madison. Her office hadn't changed. Bookshelves, dark wood, order, control. Patricia believed messy desks reflected moral failure. Sit, she said. I sat. She wore glasses lower on her nose when reading. Helen always joked Patricia looked more dangerous with reading glasses. Accurate. I explained everything. Chicago, Avery, Ryan, paperwork, metadata, questions. Patricia listened, without interrupting, which somehow felt worse. When I finished, she folded her hands. Do you think Ryan forged documents? No. Do you trust him? No. Do you trust Avery? Long pause. Patricia noticed. Of course. I trust my daughter, I said quietly. Not what I asked. Lawyers. Annoying people. Necessary people. I don't know, I admitted. Patricia nodded slowly. Better answer. She reviewed documents, methodically, carefully. 10 minutes, 20, 30. Then you see this? She asked. I leaned forward. Revision history. I saw. Good. Meaning someone edited transfer preparation language unusually early. Illegal? No. Dangerous? Potentially. She opened trust documents. Helen's trust. Protective clauses. Transfer limitations. Verification requirements. Then Patricia looked at me. Really looked. Did Helen ever tell you why she added these protections? Pressure concerns. Pressure concerns. Patricia repeated quietly. Then Helen worried Avery could be influenced. The room felt smaller. Influenced. She worried Avery wanted approval too much. I said nothing, because sometimes silence hurts more. Patricia closed the file. Do nothing yet. Meaning, observe. I've been observing. Observe smarter. What does that mean? It means greedy people speed up when they think they're winning. Interesting. Very interesting. I drove home slowly, thinking Lake Mendota gray under cloudy skies. October cold settling in. Life continuing. Cars moving, people walking, coffee shops full. Ordinary days, existing beside extraordinary problems. Funny how life does that. My phone buzzed around 5:30. Text from Ryan. First text directly from him in almost 3 weeks. Simple, friendly, professional, too professional. Hey Quill, hope you're doing well. Wanted to circle back on lake property planning. No rush, just thinking ahead. Thinking ahead. Same wording, again. Patterns, always patterns. I stared at the message. Read it twice, 3 times, then smiled. Small, quiet. Not happiness. Recognition. Because suddenly, for the first time, Ryan Mercer felt predictable. And predictable people make mistakes. Big mistakes. Especially greedy ones. I texted back 2 minutes later. Short, simple, careful. Happy to discuss. Maybe next week. 3 dots appeared immediately. Typing. Fast. Too fast. Greedy people hate waiting. Always have. Always will. And sitting there looking at my phone, I realized something. Ryan Mercer thought he was dealing with an aging widower who printed directions and compared wood screws for entertainment. That was fine. Let him. My entire career had been built on one beautiful truth. People show you who they are when they think you're too harmless to notice. The strange thing about waiting for someone to make a mistake is this. You can't look eager. The second, people think you're watching, they tighten up. Get careful. Move slower. Greedy people only get reckless when they feel safe. So I acted normal. Very normal. Painfully normal. Tuesday morning, I met Frank at Mickey's Dairy Bar. 7:10. Booth near the window. Coffee. Eggs. Bacon I absolutely did not need. Frank walked in wearing his old Packers jacket. 40 years old. Jacket. Not Frank. Though some mornings it felt close. You look suspicious, he said. I always look suspicious. No. He sat down. Today you look organized. Worst crime, dangerous crime. I slid my phone across the table. Ryan's Cospa. Frank read it again, made a face. What? He's trying too hard. I know. No rush. I know. Thinking ahead. I know. Nobody says thinking ahead unless they're thinking aggressively. Frank, I'm serious. He handed my phone back. You answering already did. What did Patricia say? Observe. Frank nodded. Smart. You sound disappointed. I wanted dramatic. Life disappoints television expectations. Frank pointed his fork toward me. You know what your problem is. Which one? You still think Avery knows what's happening. That landed harder than I wanted. Because I'd been thinking it too. Late at night. Coffee cold. House quiet. What did Avery know? What didn't she know? Important question. Dangerous question. People in love ignore strange things. People chasing status ignore even stranger things. Helen used to say, when people desperately want something to be true, they'll help lies survive. I hated when Helen turned out right after she was gone. Wednesday afternoon, Ryan called. Not text. Call. Interesting. Quill, he said warmly. Ryan, how have you been breathing? He laughed. Too quickly. Performers hate silence. We should grab lunch sometime. We should. Absolutely. Okay. Friday. Fast. Very fast. Sure. Perfect. Italian place downtown Madison. 1 o'clock. Friday. I hung up. Thought about it. Then smiled. Greedy people speed up when they think momentum exists. Patricia had been right. Friday came cold. Gray sky, 38 degrees. Classic Wisconsin. Late October. I got there early. Of course I did. Retired people arrive places early because eventually time becomes less valuable than certainty. Ryan showed up exactly on time. Navy quarter-zip sweater. Dark jeans. Watch worth too much. Smile polished. Server came. Water. Bread basket. Ryan ordered salmon. I ordered lasagna. Always lasagna there. Some risks aren't worth taking. Conversation stayed normal first. Chicago, weather, football, real estate. Then there it was. Smooth. Careful, professional. So I wanted to talk lake house stuff. Of course. I took a sip of coffee. Okay, no pressure. People applying pressure. Love saying no pressure. I've just been thinking long term about planning. Planning? Yeah. Interesting. Ryan smiled. Calm. Controlled. Look, Quill. You've built something great. Built. Interesting wording. Property value's incredible now. And honestly, honestly. Another favorite word of dishonest conversations. I think Helen would have wanted Avery protected. Helen. Using Helen. Interesting. Very interesting. Protected from what? I asked. Life. Professional smile. Measured voice. Avery works hard. She does. Chicago isn't cheap. No? And honestly, there it was again. Honestly. Second time. People repeating honesty are usually negotiating credibility. I think holding too much wealth inside inactive property can become limiting. Inactive property. My wife's lake house. Inactive property. Interesting. I nodded slowly. Let silence sit. People hate silence. Ryan hated silence. Good. I've been reviewing some options, he continued. I noticed. Tiny pause, small, almost invisible, but there. You sent paperwork months ago. Oh, smile back. Right. Transfer planning. Pause. Longer, better. Ryan recovered quickly. Too quickly. Just future preparation. Version 3. Silence. Tiny. Half second. Enough. You know that look. Not panic. Correction. Mental correction. Fast recalculation. I revise everything a few times, Ryan said. Smart? Professional habit. Mine too. Smile. Smile back. Old investigator trick. Never push. People confess through comfort, not pressure. Conversation moved. Business, weather, Madison traffic. Then Ryan made mistake number 1. Arrogance mistake. Greed mistake. Stupid mistake. So does Patricia still handle everything? Casual voice, not casual question. My pulse slowed, always slowed. Funny thing. Adrenaline never made me faster, made me calmer. Sometimes. She's good. She is. You guys close? Reasonably. Ryan nodded. Thinking. Planning. Adjusting. I could almost hear gears moving. Then mistake number 2. Bigger. Much bigger. Trust structures get complicated. Interesting. Very interesting. I leaned back. Depends. I mean, eventually it helps simplifying things. Simplifying. Dangerous word. I've seen families lose money waiting too long. Money. Not memories. Not legacy. Money. Patterns. Always patterns. Lunch ended around 2:15. Parking lot cold. Wind cutting sideways. Ryan shook my hand. Firm, confident. Still performing. Good talking, Quill. You too. We'll figure things out. We know. Interesting. I drove directly to Patricia's office. No appointment. Didn't care. She looked up when I walked in. Something happened. Yes. Sit. I explained lunch. Word for word. Questions. Language. Timing. Pauses. Patricia listened quietly. Then, he knows Patricia controls trust verification, she said. You think... I know. He asked carefully. Which means he's asked himself already. I sat quietly. Thinking. Quill. Yeah. Have you checked bank movement? I blinked. No. Check. Why? Because if somebody thinks future assets are coming, they spend ahead. Patricia nodded. Exactly. Spend ahead. Future money psychology. Seen it before. Hundreds of times. People mentally spend money before owning it. Dangerous pattern. Very human pattern. Friday night, Frank showed up carrying Culvers, cheeseburgers, fries, frozen custard. Because apparently emotional support in Wisconsin requires dairy. We sat, watching college football, neither watching football. You tell Avery? Frank asked. No. Why? Don't know. You do know. I stared toward television. Crowd noise, lights, players moving, life happening somewhere simpler. I'm afraid, I said quietly. Frank looked over. Didn't joke. Didn't interrupt. Of what? He asked. That she knows. Silence. Heavy silence. Real silence. Not awkward. Pain. Silence. I keep thinking, maybe Ryan manipulated her. I said, maybe. And maybe she just couldn't finish. Frank did. Changed. Yeah. That. Changed. Parents hate that word. Children grow. People evolve. Life reshapes people. But sometimes, people don't become different. They become more honest versions of who they already were. I barely slept that night. 3:30 in the morning. Kitchen. Coffee. Dark house. Helen's chair. My notebook. Questions. Patterns. Behavior. Timelines. Then something hit me. Not proof. Worse? Possibility. The dangerous thing investigators learn sometimes, answers exist where people forget to hide them. And suddenly, for the first time, I knew exactly where I needed to look next. Bank records. I wish I could tell you that finding the truth felt satisfying. It didn't. Truth rarely arrives wearing dramatic music and carrying justice in a briefcase. Usually, it shows up quietly, holding receipts. Monday morning, I drove to the lake house, 42 minutes north. Gray, Wisconsin sky, late October. Trees nearly bare. Road shoulders covered in leaves that nobody would bother cleaning, because winter would bury everything soon anyway. The lake house sat exactly where it always had, small, weathered, steady. Dark green shutters Helen picked because she said white shutters looked like people trying too hard. God, she would have hated Ryan. No, that's not fair. Helen tried hard to see good in people. She probably would have seen things I missed sooner. I unlocked the front door. Old wood smell. Coffee stains on memories. Silence. The kind that lives in vacation homes after families stop vacationing. I walked slowly. Kitchen, living room, hallway. Helen's reading chair still near the window. Blanket folded neatly. Book on the side table. Page marker untouched. 6 years. People say grief moves. Not always. Sometimes grief rents property. Days, pays nothing. Leaves messes. I sat down. Opened my notebook. Bank records. Patricia's idea. Future money psychology. People spend tomorrow's money today, especially people convinced tomorrow belongs to them. The trust paperwork gave me authority over records tied directly to Helen's estate holdings, lake property expenses, maintenance, estimated payments, nothing invasive, nothing illegal, just responsible review. At first normal. Insurance, utilities, property, dock repairs, snow removal, routine. Expected. Then something small. Transfer inquiry fee. 9 months ago. I frowned. Read it again. Transfer inquiry. No completed transfer. No authorized transfer. Just inquiry. Interesting. Very interesting. Date lined up almost perfectly, with Ryan sending me paperwork. My pulse slowed. Always slowed. Never sped up. People think calm means safety. Sometimes calm means danger. I called Patricia. Found something. Tell me. I did. Silence. Paper moving on her end. Thinking. Then Quill. Yeah. Request copies. Already planned. Good. I hate when you're right. No, you don't. She hung up. Lawyers. Efficient people. I spent another hour reviewing records. Carefully, slowly. No assumptions. Facts. Patterns. Facts. Patterns. Then another thing. Not illegal. Not proof. Worse. Behavior. Behavior predicts outcomes. Behavior matters. Ryan had requested information. Twice, separated by months. Persistent, focused, consistent, interesting. Very interesting. My phone rang around 1:15. Avery. I stared, answered. Hey, sweetheart. You busy? Not particularly. Where are you? Pause. Tiny. Instinct. Lake house. Silence. Not long. Long enough. Oh. Yeah. What are you doing there? Interesting. Not, how are you? Not everything okay? What are you doing there? I come up sometimes. I know. Pause again. Dad. Yeah. We should talk. My stomach tightened. Not fear. Something harder. Hope. Dangerous thing. Hope. When? I asked. Wednesday. Okay. I'm coming to Madison. Okay. Long silence. Then, you still mad at me? No, worse. I don't know, I said honestly. Breathing, quiet. I'm sorry, she whispered. Real. This one felt real. I know. Call ended. I sat quietly, looking out at water. Gray lake. Gray sky. Gray thoughts. Funny thing about disappointment. It fights love. Love fights back. Parents understand that war. Wednesday came colder. 34 degrees. Wind hard enough to make old knees complain. Avery showed up around 11. Black SUV. Chicago plates. Camel-colored coat. Hair pulled back. Professional. Controlled. Beautiful. Helen's eyes. Always Helen's eyes. She walked inside, looked around. Different. Like she hadn't really seen the place in years. You changed the curtains, she said. No. Oh. Silence. Awkward. Strange. Like two people trying to remember familiar versions of each other. You want coffee? I asked. Sure. Kitchen, routine, safe. Coffee creates normalcy. People confess easier. Holding mugs, old investigator truth. We sat, table near the window, lake behind us. Quiet. Finally, I messed up, Avery said. Chicago. Chicago. Okay. I know what I said. Okay. You aren't making this easy. Interesting. Very interesting. Pain. Asking for efficiency. Should I? I asked quietly. She looked down. Hands around coffee mug. Wedding ring still there. Small detail. Stored away. I don't know why I said it, she whispered. You do. I don't. You do. Silence. Wind outside. House settling. Old wood sounds, memory sounds. Then I got tired, she said quietly. Of what? Feeling smaller? There. Truth. Finally. Not all truth. Enough truth. Smaller than who? Everyone. Everyone. Chicago people. Professional voice cracking. Good. Real people crack. Clients, she said softly. Ryan's friends. People we know. We. People. No. I leaned back quietly. We don't do that. Dad? No. Please. We don't blame invisible people. She looked away. Tears. Controlled. Trying not to lose composure. Helen cried openly. Avery always fought it. I hated growing up watching Mom use coupons, she whispered. That hurt hard. Not because coupons mattered. Because Helen sacrificed proudly. I hated pretending money wasn't tight. We weren't poor. I know. You had food. I know. You had safety. I know. You had parents who loved you. I know. Silence. Big silence. Important silence. I know, she whispered again. Smaller. Broken. Pay attention to this next part, because this matters. Villains don't usually become villains. People drift, compromise, adjust, chase, compare, repeat, then wake up somewhere ugly. I got tired of feeling behind, Avery said quietly. Behind who? People. What people? People who didn't grow up counting money. There it was. Shame. Not greed. Shame. Dangerous thing. Shame changes memory, rewrites history, makes people resent sacrifices they once appreciated. I worked hard, Avery whispered. I know. I built something. I know. I didn't want people looking at me and seeing what? Long silence. Dangerous silence. Then Madison. That hurt more than Chicago. Not father, Madison. Home. She looked terrified immediately. Good. No, not good. Honest. Different thing. Very different thing. Dad too. No. Quiet. Calm. Controlled. Keep going, pal. She couldn't. Because truth gets harder once it starts. I love you, she whispered. I know. I do. I know. Silence. Then the sentence. The one that killed the last piece of doubt I still had. I just wanted Ryan to be proud of me. Everything stopped. Not physically. Something deeper. Patterns. Questions. Timing. Ryan. Always Ryan. Not money, not clients, Ryan. And suddenly, for the first time, I realized my daughter wasn't driving this story. She was riding in it. And I needed to know exactly how far Ryan Mercer had already taken her. The hardest part about seeing the truth isn't finding it. It's accepting it. I sat in the lake house for almost an hour after Avery left. Coffee cold. Wind scraping branches across the windows. Gray water moving beyond the dock. Ryan. 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 I kept replaying one sentence. I just wanted Ryan to be proud of me. Not clients, not status, not Chicago. Ryan. You spend enough years studying people, and eventually you learn something uncomfortable. Control rarely starts with orders. It starts with approval. A person learns what gets praise, what gets attention, what gets distance. Then slowly, sometimes without realizing it, they reshape themselves. Helen would have seen it faster than me. Helen noticed emotional changes. I noticed paperwork. People think marriages last because people complete each other. Truth-long marriages, because people cover each other's blind spots. I drove back toward Madison around 4:30. Dark coming early now. Late October. Wisconsin preparing for winter. Frank called around 5. Talk happen. Yeah. Bad. Worse. Ryan. Ryan. Silence. Then, you eating dinner? No. I'm bringing burgers. Frank. Not optional. 28 minutes later, he knocked. 2 burgers. Fries. Chocolate concrete mixer from Culver's. Extra spoon. Because friendship after 70 means preparing for emotional collapse and dessert simultaneously. We sat at my kitchen table. I told him everything. Every word Avery said. Every pause. Every detail. Frank listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't joke. That worried me. Finally, "You know what bothers me," Frank said. "Well, everything. Besides everything." He leaned forward. "Ryan asks property questions." "Yeah." Ryan pushes paperwork. "Yeah." Ryan talks future assets. "Yeah." Ryan wants approval. "Yeah." Frank nodded slowly. But Avery apologized. I looked at him. So Ryan didn't. That sat quietly between us. Heavy, sharp, true. Ryan never apologized. Never called. Never explained. Never corrected. Interesting. Very interesting. "Frank," I said quietly. "Yeah. What if she knew?" Silence. Dangerous silence. "Quill. What? You know what I think?" "No. I think your daughter knows pieces." "Pieces? Not whole thing." "You sure?" "No." Honest answer? Good answer. Painful answer. I barely slept. Again. 3:12 in the morning. Kitchen, coffee, notebook, legal pad, patterns, questions, questions, questions. Then my phone buzzed. Email. Ryan. 3:13 a.m. Interesting. Very interesting. People under pressure reveal schedules. 3:13 meant awake. Anxious, working, thinking. Email subject. Lake. Discussion. Follow-up. Professional. Polished. Too polished. I opened it. Read slowly. 3 times. Short email. Friendly tone. Forward-looking language. Meeting suggestion. Then attachment. Property transfer preparation packet. Again. My pulse slowed. Always slowed. I opened it. 43 pages. Legal preparation, transfer frameworks, ownership language, projected valuations, timeline suggestions, and they're buried inside page 29 mistake. Beautiful mistake. Stupid mistake. Arrogant mistake. One line, tiny, easy to miss. Transfer recommendation included ownership assumptions inconsistent with Helen's trust protections. Not accidentally inconsistent, conveniently inconsistent. Interesting. Very interesting. I called Patricia at 8. "No hello?" she said. "No hello." "Bad, interesting. Worst category," I explained. Silence. Keyboard sounds, paper sounds. Attorney thinking sounds. Then Quill. "Yeah. Don't respond." "Okay." Forward everything. "Done." And Quill. "Yeah. I think we're done observing." My stomach tightened. Not fear. Recognition. "What now?" I asked. We let him commit. 3 words. Cold. Precise. Attorney words. Meaning, meeting. What meeting? Property meeting. Interesting. Very interesting. You think he'll push? He already is. No, she corrected quietly. He thinks he's close. Dangerous thing. Greedy people rush finish lines. We need witnesses, Patricia said. Witnesses. Professional witnesses. Meaning we're doing this correctly. The meeting got scheduled Friday, 10:30, Patricia's office. Ryan agreed immediately. Too immediately. Interesting. Very interesting. Ryan tempted 27 minutes later. Great. Glad we're finally getting things organized. Organized. People hiding motives love clean language. Friday came cold. 31 degrees. First frost. Madison, looking like winter, had sent an advance warning. I wore gray slacks, blue button-down, navy sweater. Nothing special. Normal. Harmless. Ryan arrived first. Interesting. People desperate for control arrive early. Avery came 6 minutes later. Black coat. Hair tied back. Tired. Very tired. Patricia sat calm. Controlled? Legal folders ready. Professional? Dangerous. Ryan smiled when I walked in. Friendly, warm, confident. Too confident. Good. Patricia started simple. Today's informational. Ryan nodded immediately. Of course. Professional voice. Controlled voice, performance voice. Property review started. Transfer discussions, future planning, ownership structures, trust language. Ryan spoke smoothly. Too smoothly. Always too smoothly. Then mistake. Big one. Patricia mentioned verification requirements. Ryan answered too quickly. We already addressed those. Silence. Tiny. Beautiful. Patricia folded her hands. No, she said quietly. We haven't. Ryan blinked. Small, fast, correction face, mental recalculation. Sorry, he said smoothly. I misunderstood. No, you didn't. You assumed. Big difference. I stayed quiet. Very quiet. Old investigator rule: silence creates opportunity. Patricia continued. Questions, clarifications, paperwork, professional, controlled. Then mistake number 2. Ryan referenced transfer timing. Specific timing. Too specific. Timing never shared, never disclosed, never available. Interesting. Very interesting. Patricia noticed. Of course. Avery noticed too. First time all morning, I saw confusion hit her. Real confusion. Good. No, not good. Necessary. Different thing. Very different thing. Ryan kept talking, explaining, expanding, trying. Harder. Dangerous. People explaining too much eventually explain wrong things. Then Patricia slid one paper forward quietly. Metadata history, document revision record, transfer preparation, inconsistency, a silence. Longer now, heavier. Ryan looked, adjusted posture, tiny thing, almost invisible. But there. Performance cracking. Ryan, Patricia said calmly. Can you explain this? I'd have to review. Now! Avery looked toward him, then toward me, then back. Confusion growing. Fear arriving. Good. No. Necessary. Different. Very different. Ryan smiled. Professional. Controlled. I think we're overcomplicating things. People say that when complication exposes them. I don't, Patricia said quietly. Silence. Big silence now. Real silence. Pay attention to this next part, and because this mattered, not because Ryan panicked, because Avery did. She looked at him, really looked. Maybe for the first time in years, not seeing confidence, not seeing success, seeing calculation, seeing performance, seeing someone scrambling. Dangerous moment. Truth changes relationships fast. Very fast. Ryan cleared his throat. Shifted, adjusted. Then for the first time, Ryan Mercer stopped looking confident and started looking trapped. People think revenge feels loud. It doesn't. Real consequences arrive quietly, usually wearing reading glasses and carrying paperwork. Nobody spoke for maybe 6 seconds. Doesn't sound long. Try sitting in silence after somebody's mask slips. Feels like weather changing. Ryan sat across from Patricia Whitmore, hands folded, controlled, trying very hard to remain controlled. Avery sat beside him. Still, too still. I'd seen that before, years ago. Insurance interviews, fraud investigations, people realizing reality moved while they weren't paying attention. Patricia slid another document across the table. Calm, professional, deadly. Ryan, she said quietly, why were property transfer assumptions included before authorization discussions occurred? Ryan looked down, looked up. Professional smile. Smaller now, less convincing. I think there's confusion. No, there wasn't. There really wasn't. Patricia folded her hands. Explain the metadata inconsistencies. Templates. Version history. Draft work. Ownership assumptions. Planning. Interesting thing about lies. Good liars simplify. Bad liars multiply. Ryan was multiplying. Avery finally spoke. Ryan, so soft, quiet, dangerous. Not anger. Worse. Confusion. What's she talking about? Ryan turned. Smile again. Smaller. Tighter. Avery. No. She sat forward. What is she talking about? I explained. No. That word. Short. Sharp. Important. People who've ignored problems a long time usually wake up all at once. Patricia opened another folder. Transfer inquiry records. Timeline records. Document revisions. Patterns. Beautiful patterns. Years studying fraud taught me something. Individual mistakes explain away easily. Patterns don't. Patricia looked directly at Ryan. Why were property transfer inquiries initiated before discussions with trust counsel? Silence. Big silence. Real silence. Ryan leaned back, exhaled, adjusted his watch. Tiny detail. Now, tiny details matter. People touch objects when stressed. Wedding rings, necklaces, watches, anchors. You people are making assumptions, Ryan said. There. Defensive now. Performance changing, pressure changing him. Good. No. Necessary, different thing. Very different thing. Patricia stayed calm. Professional calm. Attorney calm. Terrifying calm. No assumptions, she said quietly. Facts? Ryan laughed. Bad choice. Very bad choice. Short laugh. Sharp laugh. Dismissive laugh. You think I was stealing property? Patricia said nothing. I said nothing. Avery said nothing. Silence. Always silence. Ryan leaned forward. Faster now, talking quicker. Greedy people rush when control slips. I was planning ahead. 3 versions, Patricia asked. Planning. Transfer assumptions. Planning. Ownership structures. Planning. Then mistake. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Ryan said, we needed flexibility. Needed past tense. Needed not wanted. Needed. I watched Avery. You know that look? The exact second somebody hears truth hiding inside language. Her face changed. Tiny. Almost invisible. But there. Needed, Avery said quietly. Ryan froze. Very small thing. Very important thing. Needed flexibility for what? Avery asked. That's not... For what? Pressure. More pressure. Good. Truth likes pressure. I was trying to help. Help who? Avery asked. No answer. Patricia opened one final document. Quietly. Carefully. Bank lending pre-qualification records. Not illegal, not criminal, worse, predictable, future money psychology. Ryan had pursued financing projections, lifestyle expansion projections, property-backed assumptions, ahead, before, too early, way too early. Interesting, very interesting. Avery looked at papers, read, looked again, color leaving her face slowly, not dramatic, worse. Quiet, controlled collapse. Ryan, she whispered. No answer. Ryan. Still nothing. Then the stupid mistake. The greed mistake. The arrogance mistake. The mistake people make when truth corners them. Anger. Pure anger. This is ridiculous, Ryan snapped. First crack. Performance gone. You think I'm the bad guy? Nobody answered. Wrong question. People expose themselves, trying to defend themselves. I've done everything for this family. There, family, interesting. Chicago isn't cheap. Interesting. We work harder than anybody. Interesting. We deserved stability. Dangerous. We deserved. There. Finally. Patricia didn't interrupt. Neither did I. Ryan stood. Voice louder now. Faster. Control breaking. I was trying to protect us. Protect. Protect from what nobody asked. Didn't need to. Because suddenly Ryan kept talking. Big mistake. Huge mistake. We needed that property eventually. Needed. Again, needed. Not hoped, not discussed. Needed. The room went completely silent. Avery looked at him. Really looked. Not husband. Not partner. Not successful provider. Truth? Finally, truth. She whispered. Ryan realized it. Too late. Way too late. Avery, no? Quiet? Dangerous quiet? No. I can explain. No. Pay attention to this next part, because this wasn't victory. People imagine moments like this feel satisfying, like movies, like justice. They don't. Watching somebody you love realize they built trust in the wrong person, that hurts. Even when you're right. Especially when you're right. Avery turned slowly toward me, eyes wet, confused, broken. Dad, I held up my hand gently. Not anger, not punishment. Boundary. Different thing. Very different thing. Ryan sat back down. Face different now. No performance. No confidence. Just irritation. Frustration. Exposure. Patricia closed her folder. Professional. Finished. I strongly advise ending transfer discussions immediately, she said calmly. Nobody argued. Nobody could. Avery stood slowly. Wedding ring. Catching office light. Hands shaking. Tiny detail. Stored away. She looked at Ryan. Long. Silent. Dangerous silence. Did you know? She whispered. Ryan didn't answer immediately. Bad decision. Silence answers questions too. Avery, did you know, I was helping. Not answer. Interesting. Very interesting. Then Avery said something I'll never forget. Not because it was dramatic, because it was honest. I don't know who you are. Ryan looked away. Not at her. Away. People avoid eyes when identity breaks. Old investigator truth. Nobody moved. Finally, I stood. Slowly. Old knees, old back, old man movement. Funny thing. At 67, people expect older men to become smaller, quieter, harmless. Ryan thought that. Avery, too. For a while. I looked at Ryan, calm, steady, no anger, no speech, no dramatic revenge line, just truth. You told people I wasn't there, I said quietly. Avery closed her eyes. Kinan good, no. Necessary. Different. Very different. I looked at Ryan. You thought older meant easier. Silence. You thought quiet meant weak. Silence. You thought paperwork didn't matter. Silence. I spent 31 years catching people who thought details didn't matter. Nobody spoke. I picked up my coat, slowly. Normal, human, ordinary. Because revenge, real revenge, isn't humiliation. It's consequence. And consequence had finally arrived. I walked toward the door. Stopped. Once. Turned back. Looked at Avery. My daughter. Still my daughter. Always my daughter. You said you didn't have a father. Quiet. Steady. Controlled. Today I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. Silence. Breathing. Pain. Truth. No father here at all. Then I left. And for the first time in 19 days, the silence inside me finally felt quiet. Fan muy mut. People who think endings feel final. They don't. Real endings feel unfinished. Messy. Quiet. Like walking out of a movie before the lights come on. 3 weeks after Patricia's office, Ryan Mercer moved into a downtown Chicago apartment with gray walls and expensive furniture that probably looked better in photographs than real life. I only know that because Frank somehow learned things faster than social media. Don't ask me how. I stopped asking years ago. Avery filed for separation 8 days after the meeting. Not divorce, not yet. Separation. People untangle their lives slowly, especially when love existed somewhere inside the damage. Ryan called me twice. I didn't answer. Texted once. Didn't respond. Some conversations arrived too late. Patricia handled the legal side. Clean, professional, controlled. No lawsuits. No dramatic courtroom. No handcuffs. Real life disappoints television expectations. What Ryan did never crossed criminal lines. Manipulative, yes. Calculated, absolutely. Illegal, not quite. That bothered me longer than I expected. People like clean justice. Good people. Bad people. Consequences. Life rarely cooperates. The lake house stayed protected. Helen's trust worked exactly how Helen intended. Funny thing, 6 years after losing her, she still protected us. Still protected Avery. Even after everything. That hurt. And healed. Both. Avery called every few days. I didn't always answer. Not punishment. Distance? Different thing. Very different thing. People talk about forgiveness like flipping switches. Wrong. Forgiveness feels more like physical therapy. Slow. Uncomfortable. Repeated effort. Some days progress. Some days pain. One Saturday morning, in November, my phone buzzed. Text message. Avery. Simple. Can I send you something? I stared at it. Longer than necessary. Then okay. 3 days later, envelope. Handwritten address. Chicago postmark. My kitchen table. Coffee. Gray morning. Quiet house. I opened it slowly. Letter, 4 pages, handwritten, not typed, important detail. People typing difficult emotions can edit themselves. Handwriting bleeds truth differently. I read it once, then twice, then sat quietly for maybe 20 minutes. No dramatic apology, no excuses, no blaming Ryan, no rewriting history, just truth. Ugly truth. Honest truth. She wrote about Chicago. Pressure. Status. Comparison. People with money. People with family names attached to buildings. People who treated backgrounds like social currency. She wrote about embarrassment, shame, fear, Ryan, approval, performance, and one sentence stopped me. I kept acting like loving where I came from would make me smaller. Helen would have cried. I almost did, almost. Frank showed a little later carrying chili. Of course, chili. Wisconsin emotional support system remained undefeated. You read it? He asked. Yeah. Good cow. No. Honest vow. Yeah. He nodded. That's something. Maybe. No? Frank sat down carefully. Definitely. We ate quietly. Football playing softly, snow starting outside, winter finally arriving. You gonna see her? Frank asked. Don't know. That's okay. I should know. No. He shook his head slowly. You should be honest. I am honest. No. He pointed his spoon toward me. You're scared. I am not. Quill. Frank. Quill. Old friends, annoying people, necessary people. December came cold. Madison cold. Wisconsin cold. The kind of cold that makes people reconsider every life choice involving geography. I drove to the lake house 2 days before Christmas. Snow covering everything. Quiet. White. Still. I carried coffee inside. Sat near Helen's chair. Opened Avery's letter again. Third time. Fourth, maybe. Lost count. Funny thing about pain, you reread it hoping details change. They don't. My phone buzzed. Avery. I answered. Hey, sweetheart. Silence. Breathing. Then, hi, Dad. Dad, not Quill. Dad, dangerous word, beautiful word. How are you? She asked. Cold. Small laugh. Good, human, real. Me too. Silence, not awkward, different. Healing silence, very different thing. I went by Mom's grave today, she said quietly. My throat tightened. Dangerous. Again. Dangerous. Okay. I talked to her. Yeah. What did she say? Small laugh. Bigger this time. Helen humor. Helen lived there. I think she'd be disappointed in me, Avery whispered. No. You don't know. I do. Silence. Big silence. Important silence. She'd be heartbroken, I said quietly. Truth matters. Even gentle truth. Especially gentle truth. I know. I think she'd forgive you. Silence. Then Dad? Yeah. I'm trying. I closed my eyes. Kitchen. Snow outside. Coffee cooling. Life continuing. I'm trying to, I said. Long silence. Then, can I come up after Christmas? Hope. Dangerous thing. Still dangerous. Okay. She came December 28th. No Ryan. No Chicago armor. No performance. Jeans. Winter coat. Real eyes. Real eyes. We made coffee. Burned bacon. Argued over pancakes. Progress. Messy progress. Better. She walked through the lake house slowly. Touched walls. Pictures. Memory. History. Home. I forgot how this place smells, she whispered. Helen's candles. Yeah. Silence. Lake frozen. Snow bright outside. Winter holding everything still. Dad? Yeah. I'm sorry. Real. Again. Good. No. Necessary. Different thing. Very different thing. I looked at my daughter. 39. Successful. Broken. Trying. Human. People online like simple villains. Simple heroes. Life disappoints those expectations too. Ryan made choices. Bad choices. Greedy choices. Avery made choices too. Painful truth. Necessary truth. But people aren't their worst moments. Not always. I wasn't. Helen wasn't. Maybe Avery didn't have to be either. 3 months later, spring started pushing winter away. Slowly. Wisconsin fighting change, like always. Frank and I sat outside Mickey's Dairy Bar, drinking coffee. Sun warmer, air softer, life moving. You look better, Frank said. You always say I look terrible. You looked terrible. And now, you look old. Frank, what? You're impossible. No. He smiled quietly. I'm consistent. We sat there, watching cars pass. Ordinary morning. Ordinary life. Beautiful thing. Ordinary. Pay attention to this next part, because I need you to understand something. Love doesn't disappear when people disappoint us. Trust can. Safe can. Closeness can. Stays. Sometimes quietly. Sometimes painfully. But it stays. My daughter once told strangers she had no father. Truth, she had one. An imperfect one. A tired one. A stubborn one. A man who missed moments, made mistakes, worked too much, loved badly sometimes, but loved fully. And maybe, if we're lucky, that's enough to rebuild from. If this story meant something to you, join our community by hitting that like button and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you ever been in a situation like this? We read every single one. And as always, thank you for being a part of this.